So next up, we have the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. The School of the Art Institute of Chicago is one of the oldest accredited independent schools of art and design in the USA. They were ranked #1 in the top 25 animation schools in the Midwest in 2021 by Animation Career Review and are well known for their fine art and photography programs. Please welcome Trace Krug from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Hello, thanks, Hannah. So my name is Trace Krug. I'm an international admissions counselor at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. So I have a quick presentation to kind of give you a really broad overview of our school. So obviously to start out, we are located, as the name suggests, in the city of Chicago. So right along beautiful Lake Michigan. Chicago is the home of the skyscraper, or like the birthplace of the skyscraper. So obviously we have a very vibrant downtown location. Chicago is kind of known for having a lot of distinct neighborhoods, about 77 distinct neighborhoods that really have their own flair. At the end of this video, you'll kind of see where our campus is located, because we are really integrated in the downtown area, which really makes it easy to get around the city on our public transportation. And then you'll kind of also get a sense of like the beautiful park that our campus is kind of situated in along the lakefront. I've lived in Chicago really for a long time. I can attest to the fact that it's a really great place to live, because it's more affordable than places like New York, but still you really have a really good sense of being in a big city. So again, this is our academic buildings and our residence halls. You'll see how integrated we are into really the downtown landscape. And then this gives you just another shot. I'll talk a little bit later just about our museum, because we are kind of unique in the fact that we are really one of the only museum campuses for art and design schools in the United States. So obviously, our students have free access to the museum, which really does become a really amazing teaching tool for our students. But of course, before we get there, we do always like to brag just in terms of our rankings. So we are ranked #7 as one of the best colleges of art and design in the world, and then ranked as #2 as the best art college in the United States. And then we do have individual programs like fiber arts, painting and drawing, photography, printmaking, sculpture, and film, video, new media, and animation that are all highly ranked. And then we are also a top producer of Fulbright scholars. So for those of you who don't know, the Fulbright program is run by the US Department of State for international scholarship. So we do have a lot of students that do go on to do a Fulbright year. We do have someone who working in our professional office, or professional development office, that is specifically tasked with helping students prepare applications for the Fulbright program. So as I was saying, the Art Institute of Chicago and the school are one institution that are obviously combined. And it's maybe not known as much that the school was actually founded first. And the first teachers of the school started creating a collection to be used as a teaching tool. And then that collection became what is now the Art Institute of Chicago. And we actually have the 3rd largest collection of art in the world after the Louvre in Paris and the Met in New York. One of our main academic buildings is physically attached to the museum. And like I said, our students obviously have free access to the museum. So you can literally walk from like a back hallway into the museum without even having to go outside. So this just shows you like the proximity and basically how the museum becomes a part of your daily experience of being a student at SAIC. I graduated in 2014 from SAIC. So I can just attest to the fact that I went to the museum very, very often with classes, or obviously I went very often on my own just to get inspiration. So you kind of have like I said, like a really daily relationship with the collection, where you really would be, walking by and masterpieces of French Impressionism to get to your classes. And then this is kind of like the back end of the museum. This is the modern wing that opened in 2009 and 2010, which now, thankfully, we have this space so we can show more of our collection. So this part of the museum houses our collection from the 19th century to the present day. And then we have, along with the museum, many other really amazing resources for our students. And I'll just kind of go through kind of the highlights here for you. So the school owns a cinema called the Gene Siskel Film Center that our students have reduced pricing for. And this is a venue where obviously films come in. We have a lot of film festivals, and they do host a lot of visiting artist talks. In our fashion department, we have the Fashion Resource Center, which is a collection of about 1,000 garments from fashion history. So you would really have the chance of going into the space and really seeing like a Chanel suit from the 1960s, for example. So you can really get a really good sense of how these things were constructed. Here I have a picture of the Ryerson Library. This is a research library in the museum and the Art Institute of Chicago that is not typically open to the public, but our students have access to it. So really they just have hundreds of thousands of books that are really focused on doing research in art. Like a lot of like the museum, obviously people who work in the museum use this for conducting their research or putting together exhibitions. In the museum, we have our department that houses our works that are done on paper. So print media or drawings. They have 3 vaults where they house their collection in their space. And as someone who is a researcher, as someone who's an artist, you have the possibility of making an appointment, and you send a list beforehand of what artists and what works you want to see, and they do pull the physical work from the vault for you to look at. So you can go here with classes sometimes are on your own. I actually was able to do an internship in this program, and we have many internship opportunities around the museum as well. And then we have the Textile Resource Center, which is similar. So it's housed in our textile department that has a collection of textile history. And then we have the Joan Flash Artist Books collection. So really just a lot of resources on campus for our students. And then of course, anyone looking to study in art and design, you do obviously have to think about if the school you will be studying at will have the resources that you need to create your artwork. So we are really proud of the fact of like all of the amazing resources we give to our students in terms of technology to make their artwork. We have, as you'll see in this video right here, we do have a metal shop on our campus. I think we're pretty much the only space in Chicago that actually has a metal foundry. We really have a lot of digital cameras and video cameras that our students can check out to make their projects. And these are, really high-end, expensive cameras that they can use for anything related to printing, for painting, for photography. We really have so really any resources that you can think of that you would need for your work, like we have. And I know we have very specialized resources that you really can't find in other places. For anyone interested in ceramics, I do know that we have certain kilns that are come from a company in the Netherlands. So we do have to fly out someone from the Netherlands to do maintenance on our kiln. So just to give you an idea of really how specialized our resources are. And then on this slide, this really is like maybe like the main takeaways that I want you to take from tonight from my presentation, just about how our school is structured. So the first really important thing to know is that we do not have majors at the school. So we really practice something called interdisciplinary study or interdisciplinary curriculum, where students really have the possibility of customizing their degree. So we just think that that any artist working today, that really like the ideas behind the artwork is what's driving the work. And that oftentimes it's not really limited to one media. So if you're an artist who is interested in studying like photography, but maybe printmaking, but maybe painting, but maybe filmmaking, at our school, you would really have the possibility of taking classes in any one of those departments. You wouldn't be picking one department to study in, and you wouldn't be confined that department. You really have the possibility of really customizing what your Bachelor of Fine Arts is. Secondly, we believe that meaning and making are inseparable. So along with our studio classes, we have a very robust liberal arts program and obviously art history courses. So our students typically spend about 2/3 of their time in the studio creating artwork, and then about 1/3 of their time in academics, so liberal arts classes like sociology, classes in the humanities, things like philosophy or foreign languages, and then also in your really amazing art history program. Thirdly, We do not have grades at the school. We are on a critique, or we are on a credit or no credit system. So obviously we do this just because art is so subjective. So the idea of like trying to give someone a grade for like their work of art just seems, I don't know, in some ways not possible. And plus we really want our students to take risk with their work. So we don't want students to constantly be thinking about having to get an A on a piece of work. Sometimes not all ideas work out the way you want them to. So the way that our students get feedback is really through a critique-based system. So this does happen in formal critiques where you would have a day set aside or 2 days set aside during the semester where every student would have an opportunity to really show all of their work that they've created in that semester and get feedback from their professors and their peers. And then there are more like everyday examples of getting kind of feedback about your work. We are, a smaller school, only about 3,000 students, and we do have a 10-to-1 faculty to student ratio. So you really will have a very individualized, relationship with your professors who will constantly be giving you feedback throughout the semester. And then along with our professors, it should be noted that our esteemed faculty, they are all working artists and designers, or they are active researchers if they're an art historian or working in the liberal arts. So they're really bringing their firsthand knowledge of the contemporary art world or the contemporary design world into the classroom, which is really just an invaluable resource for our students to really get that kind of peek into the art world as they're studying at SAIC. And then lastly, we have a really immersive studio classrooms. So typically studio classes last for about 6 hours. So you really have like, the full day to spend making your artwork. I kind of talked about this before, just to give you a rough idea of how, the breakdown is of the Bachelor of Fine Arts. Typically 2/3 of the classes are spent in the studio, and then 1/3 of the classes are spent kind of in the more academic environment in the liberal arts or art history. And these are our general areas of study. So again, when you're thinking about kind of like what does it mean to have an interdisciplinary or really customizable degree, so you can really be someone who can really study in any one of these departments if that sounds like that's a good fit for your practice. So or oftentimes what we see is we have students who come into the school who kind of think they're going to be studying one thing, but then once they get exposed to other ways of making artwork, their trajectory totally changes. So like I said, you can really customize and you can really jump around these departments as you see fit, as it corresponds to your work. But on the flip side, if you're someone who kind of goes into school wanting to do one thing and kind of still wants to stay within that department, like for me, for example, I kind of went into the school thinking I would want to be studying painting, and I mostly studied paintings, which is definitely also a possibility at SAIC. We have enough faculty and we have enough course offerings in each one of these departments that even if you were someone who really just wanted to study and really wanted to focus in one field, there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of classes that you could do that if you wanted to. On our more design side of things, we do offer programs that have a little bit more structure and specialized pathways. So in these departments, architecture, interior architecture, designed objects, visual communication design, which, graphic design kind of fits under this umbrella term, and fashion design. There is a little bit more structure to these programs if you're wanting to go down these paths. So after your first year at the school, after kind of completing our orientation year to the school, you would be applying with a portfolio created at your first year at the school to be able to advance to the higher level courses in these particular programs. And then these are the undergraduate degrees that we offer at the school. Our most popular degree is the BFA in studio art. So that is the degree that really allows you to customize how you're going to be choosing to spend your time in the studio. We do offer a BFA with an emphasis in writing and a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts with an emphasis in art education. And in the art education program, you would be doing teaching in Chicago schools as part of your education. And then we do offer now two kind of more academically focused degrees. So it's a Bachelor of Art in Art History, and then a Bachelor of Art in Visual and Critical Studies. So in these two degrees, they are more academic and focused really with the idea of doing research and writing. We have a really wonderful career and professional experience office on campus. So really the office that will help get students pointed in the right direction for their career and thinking about life after art school. So you have a beautiful office kind of overlooking Lake Michigan and Millennium Park. So you can see here. We have one of the oldest and most successful arts related internship program in the country. So really our students go through our CapX office, our career and professional experience to get set up with internships. We have found that we've typically had around 2,000 employers participate annually, and we have about 500 students a semester who complete internships off campus. So on this page, I do just have some of the places, kind of like the big names of companies that our students have gone on to do internships with. So you see a lot of big names. You'll see that they've worked in big museums around the country. Typically, students do 1 to 4 internships during their time at school. And the reason why our program is such a success is that really the office is kind of vetting the companies that our students would be interning for to really make sure that they're not just doing mundane tasks, that they're, like getting coffee for someone, that they're really making sure that you're going to have a really great professional experience and you're going to be learning a lot. So that way you can put it on your resume when you're starting to look for work after art school, or perhaps with the idea of, potentially trying to get a job at from your internship, trying to turn that into a job, which is a lot what many people do. Another opportunity or another possibility is students can create their own internships. Just again, in my own personal experience, there was an artist I wanted to work with. I wanted to work in her studio, and that ended up working out because someone from the office had a relationship with her and was able to kind of put me in touch with her, and kind of vouch for me to be able to kind of build that relationship and turn that into a professional experience for me. Just based on this, just based on the success of our internship program, we consistently find that about 95% of our students are employed or go to graduate school within 6 months of graduation. And I believe in that 95% that really it's only 10% of our students who immediately go on to higher education, so a master's or a doctorate program. So really, we really just find that a really large number of our students really have a lot of success in finding creative jobs after life at SAIC. And then just kind of thinking, kind of just to dispel the notion of the starving artist in their studio, kind of with a lot of misery and maybe surviving on bread and water. There have been numerous studies that have shown that arts graduates are among the happiest professionals in the United States. And we truly believe that our graduates are the people who will be inventing the future. In school, at art school, of course, you'll be learning things like drawing or sculpting or making paintings, or those kind of technical skills that you need to make your artwork. But in addition to that, you'll be learning things like critical thinking, creative problem solving, how to work on teams, how to write well. And all of these things are really hot, sought after skills that our employers are looking for. So really, we just believe we have a really sincere conviction that we're kind of really setting up our students for success. To kind of switch gears a little bit, I can talk a little bit about what life is like at SAIC. So first off, I should say that we have about 70 student groups on campus who really have really diverse focus and interests. We have a yoga group, we have a Latin dance group, I know there's a Chinese Scholar Student Association, their community services. Obviously, since we are an art school and kind of focused on the arts, we really have robust visiting artist programs. So there's a lot of artists, really world-renowned artists that come to the school to present about their work and to meet with students. And then we do have a lot of exhibition spaces on campus that are really active as well. We have 3 residence halls in the downtown area. So really a 10 to 20 minute walk from your apartment to your courses. We have suite style, apartment style dorm rooms. Our students have 1 or 2 roommates, but you would have your own private small kitchen and your own private bathroom. In our residence halls, we do have really large studio spaces. So if you have to work on projects late into the evening, that you wouldn't even have to leave your home, like to go walk around the city to get to work on your projects. You can just head upstairs to the studio. And then of course we have laundry facilities as well. And then of course, any artist or designer has to start thinking about how they can show their work. So we have many opportunities to do so on campus. So we do have one of the largest contemporary gallery sites in the city of Chicago. And fortunately, we moved our gallery site and it is now located on street level, really in the bustling downtown area. So really millions of people will be walking by and being able to see what our students are doing. So in these spaces, we have like our end of year exhibitions for our bachelor students and for our master's students. So that's just one opportunity you would have to be able to exhibit your work and get that experience. Throughout our campus, we also have a system of smaller student-run galleries. Again, some of them are street level with very large windows, so people can peer in and check out what our students are working on. So with the system of student-run galleries, you can propose exhibitions and use that as an opportunity to start showing your work. And then in addition, since these are student-run galleries, if any of you are thinking about maybe working for a gallery or or thinking of working for a museum after your studies, you could be on the other side. You could be helping to organize exhibitions. You can start to get that curatorial experience if that's kind of the pathway you're thinking of going down. And then if we have any younger students participating tonight, of course, we wanted to talk about our early college program. So we have an early college program summer institute. So we do have classes that are taught online. And then in the summer, we do have classes taught in person. So anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, you would be coming to Chicago to live in our residence halls and then to take classes with our really amazing faculty. And then, of course, with these classes, they would be transferable credits. About 1 class would be transferable if you were to go to SAIC or a lot of similar institutions, a lot of other ACAD schools. So this will give you a good sense if you would want to be, going to SAIC or if you want to go down the art and design pathway. And then again, we should mention that, because of the pandemic, obviously a lot of things went online. So that's another possibility for you to think of. If you can't make it to Chicago for the summer, you can look into taking classes done online. I'll kind of go now to talk a little bit more about our application process, but obviously the first thing to kind of highlight and make sure that everyone is aware of is that all admitted students to the school are considered for merit scholarship. So within our application process, when we sit down to review our applicants, if you are admitted to the school, we will automatically look at your application to determine what amount of scholarship to award you. I will talk a little bit more about the portfolio requirements for SAIC, but the portfolio really is like the largest and most important aspect of awarding our merit scholarship. So really make sure that you're kind of putting all of your energy into preparing the best portfolio possible. So on this page, you'll see our kind of a broad overview of our application requirements. I do suggest that anyone kind of read through our admissions webpage in more detail, just because it'll list out in more detail more about these things, but I'll go through them now. So we are on the Common application or the Common app. So on that page, you can kind of you can start to fill out your personal information. We use Slide Room for our portfolio. For our portfolio, we are looking for 10 to 15 works, your most recent works, or up to 5 minutes if you're working in a time-based media. So just in regards to the portfolio, I think, the last presenter was kind of saying this, that we don't make it easy, art schools don't make it easy for high school students to apply to these programs, because we kind of are all looking for different things in the portfolio. So when you're doing your research about this application process, you really want to make sure that you're kind of adapting your portfolio to the schools that you're interested in. So for SAIC, we want you to think of this almost as like your first gallery exhibition experience. So we really want you to show us a cohesive body of work that really kind of gives us an insight into what you're interested in as an artist, what you're passionate about as an artist. So we wouldn't necessarily need to see things like observational drawings from life if that's not what you're really interested in exploring as an artist. So just one thing to consider, on our website, we have many webinars called Portfolio Tip Tuesdays, where we kind of go through some of the aspects of what we look for in a portfolio. So if that's interesting to you, you can go to our website and watch those past recordings just to get a really more in-depth look of what we like to see in portfolios. We request an artist statement. So the artist statement should really just be giving us more insight into your artistic practice. So it's kind of differs from like a personal statement. We don't really need to have like your biographical information. We really want to know like what ideas are driving your work and how you go about working as an artist. Your high school transcripts need to be sent to us. We do ask for a letter of recommendation. This letter should come from someone who can speak to your artistic ability, so most likely an art teacher. And then if English isn't your first language, we do request an English language proficiency exam score. And then these are our deadlines for the fall 2022. So our early action and priority merit scholarship deadline is November 15th. And then our final merit scholarship deadline is January 15th. And then our final deadline is April 15th. So if you are ready, your portfolio is ready, we do highly recommend that you submit your application by November 15th. But since, like I mentioned, the portfolio really is the most important piece of your application. If you need more time to work on your portfolio, then we really highly recommend that you submit then, in that case, by January 15th. And that kind of concludes my presentation for you all today. So here is my direct contact information. I think we may have a time for some questions, but if you think of a question later, please feel free to take down my email address, maybe screenshot this, and feel free to email me at any time. I'm also happy to do portfolio reviews with students or connect you with faculty members of the school who do portfolio reviews for us. So you can email me this requested time. And then I did leave this QR code at the bottom of the screen here. So if you want to scan that with your phone, that will take you to a page to sign up for our mailing list to get reminders about the application process. So thanks again for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trace, for your presentation. That was great. Does anyone have any very quick questions for Trace? If you do have one, maybe stick it in the chat and I will ask it. All right, I don't see any questions popping up. So thank you so much, Trace. If you could continue on to the portfolio review room that I mentioned, we have a student that's waiting for you there. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good evening all.
You too.